Hey guys, what is up? Big Reviews here, back again with another video. Quick side note, if you see me leaning weird or whatever, it's because I slept bad on my neck, so I'm like, ugh. Today we were talking about the big one, Fantastic Four. The long anticipated Fantastic Four, guys, and this ends the summer of greatness. We started July with Jurassic World, then in the middle of July we had Superman, and now this Fantastic Four to end us off. And did this movie live up to the hype? As we know, that this movie was announced, I think it was like 4 years ago now, and it was originally supposed to have a whole different tone and vibe. And as you know, Matt Shakman took over, director of WandaVision, and also he's done a lot of Always Sunny in Philadelphia episodes, which I think is funny. And he made it this retrofuturism 1960s vibe. As we know, it's in a different multiverse, and this vibe is unmatched in the MCU. Obviously, not going to be talking about spoilers right now. We will get into spoilers in the spoiler section, but let's just talk about all the good stuff, guys. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff in here. One, I do think this is one of, if not the best looking Marvel movie when it comes to shots. I mean, the cinematography in this film is really well done, and the retrofuturism does lean into this, but there are some scenes, especially like a space chase scene in the middle, that was really well executed, and I don't get that vibe a lot from other Marvel films. I really do think it is maybe not the best looking one, but it's definitely in the top 3. Score to this film. Now, the score is one of the first things we heard about this movie. As you know, once they announced this movie, they basically said that Michael Giacchino already made the score, like the main theme, and we heard it, and it's the most iconic, some of the most iconic music in superhero, I think. This theme just really builds on what this movie is, how it's about family, but also like that really retrofuturism 1960s space race era vibes, which are some of my favorite. I mean, if you've played Fallout or anything like that, like retrofuturism really is super cool to me and interesting. And I love space, and I think the space race is such an interesting time in our history, like about how we were all fighting to get to the moon, and just like the vibe that I got that vibe from this movie. Casting and great. Obviously, when Pedro Pascal was announced as Mr. Fantastic, I know a lot of people were kind of iffy on it, and if we learned anything from Heath Ledger being cast as the Joker, I remember when Heath Ledger got cast, everyone was, well, I don't remember, I was 8, but I remember like hearing the stories about how when he got cast, everyone was like iffy and talking shit about him, and then he proved everyone wrong, and now he's most people's best Joker. So I never really go at people. It was a kind of odd choice, just a tad bit. I thought they were going to go for like maybe a younger Reed. And some people do think there's been too much Pedro. Me personally, I like Pedro Pascal. I think he's a great actor, and he does have scenes in this film where he really does get to shine. And this film solidified him as Reed. I mean, he is a great Reed Richards. Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm is fantastic. Ebon Moss-Bachrach as the Thing is great. I love him. If you've ever seen The Bear, I mean, he's great in The Bear. He is a fantastic actor. I'm really glad he's getting to shine. And obviously Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm, which was another kind of divisive casting at first. He really did prove himself. I think he was a great Johnny Storm. The woman who plays the Silver Surfer, I forgot her name in real life, but she was fantastic. And Ralph Ineson, I think his name is, who voices Galactus, incredible. I'm so glad they never showed us the voice, because the first time I saw this movie in IMAX, the first time hearing Galactus's voice, it was insane. The whole theater was shaking. I think the family dynamic as well really drives this movie. There is a lot of action in this film, but there's a lot of scenes just the family really, contending, contemplating what they're going to do with this current situation they're in. And I really buy into the fact that they are a family. I loved the opening of the film. The only thing I'm going to say about that is that it kind of just goes over their history a little bit. As we know, like, superhero films don't really do origin stories anymore, and the way they handle it in this film is pretty great. Yeah, there's one big thing that I might agree with a lot of people who maybe don't score it as much, and I'll get to that in the spoiler section. It has to do with what happens in the ending. But other than that, I mean, I really went in here with high hopes, and I think they were met. When I walked out of the theater, I did give it a 9. Some of my friends gave it a 6, which kind of shocked me. Most of my friends gave it a 7 to 8. And so on the ride home, I was just really thinking, I obviously have to see this movie again. Right now, I really am sitting at about an 8, 8.5. I really think this is a great Marvel film. It's just so different from everything. Obviously, if you loved WandaVision, you will love this, because it's the same guy, Matt Shakman. He's a great director, and he just brings like this vibe, and the way this movie is just laid out just feels so much more like personal to these people, and just so much more different than most other Marvel films. Yeah, the other big thing too is the CGI in this film is great. Now, when the first trailer came out, I know a lot of people were iffy on how the Silver Surfer looked or some of the things shots, but obviously that wasn't finished CGI. Silver Surfer looks fantastic in this film. Galactus looks amazing. The Thing looks realistic as hell. I really think the Thing looks realistic, and Reed's stretching ability is what I was really worried about, because as you know, a lot of VFX artists have said that stretching, like that ability, like Reed Richards or the guy from One Piece, that's one of the hardest VFX things to do because it just doesn't look natural. Because like you're taking textured skin and you have to stretch it, and it's just uncanny valley. It's really hard to do. I think they did a great job with him. You don't see him use his powers as much as the others, but when you do see it, it does work. So yeah, guys, 8.5 for this film. I really think it was good. There was stuff maybe with Galactus that I don't like as much, and I really can't talk about it until I get into spoilers, which we're gonna get into now. But 8.5, it's a great film, guys. It really feels good to like. I mean, I hate even saying it feels good like that Marvel's back, because I feel like me personally, I think Marvel's been back since Guardians 3 in the middle of 2023. Like after Ant-Man 3, that atrocious ass movie. And then we had Guardians 3. I like Captain Marvel. I know a lot of people didn't. I like Captain Marvel too. We had Deadpool and Wolverine. We had Daredevil. We had Loki. I mean, there's just so much good, and I feel like people focus on the bad. Like Marvel had a tough 2 years from 2022 to like the beginning of 2023. But now it feels good to like Marvel's on their A game. DC's on their A game. It's just great. I mean, we had this year alone, we had Cap 4, which I've been said on this channel. Cap 4 is extremely overhated. The fact that it's like one of, if not the least rated Marvel films ever, like I'd rather watch Cap 4 than like I'd say a good chunk of Marvel films, like Thor 4 being rated higher, Ant-Man 3 rated higher. Fuck no, I'm sorry. Thunderbolts, as we know, is incredible, and this film keeps it going. And what's more important is it feels connected again, and it feels like we're going towards something, which is Doomsday, which I'll get into in the spoiler section. But yeah, guys, 8.5. Let's get into the spoiler section. Let's talk about some actual stuff. Off the rip, I really like the beginning of this movie. That first off, you find out that Sue's pregnant, and Sue and Reed's connection in this is fantastic. This whole film, Sue is really the heart and soul of this whole film. I feel like they focus on her the most, and she's just badass. I mean, the things she does while she's giving birth in this film is insane. She's so powerful, and I just love all of their interactions and stuff. The beginning of this film is great in the sense that, like I teased earlier, how they talk about how all of their, that you see them like, you see like a news host basically talking about how, we all know the story. 4 years ago, Fantastic Four went up, they got their powers, and we see them fighting some of their villains from the comics, which is cool, like Mole Man and all this stuff. And it was just a great way to skip the origin story and just get us into this world. And then, obviously, the whole point of this movie is Sue has Franklin. And as you know, if you guys don't know, or if you even like semi-know who Franklin is, Franklin Richards is one of the most powerful Marvel characters ever. He is so fucking powerful that I don't even know all his powers. And so she has him, and then obviously Silver Surfer comes and says, "Hey, your planet's marked for death. Sorry." And her voice is just amazing. You guys have heard it in the trailer. It kind of blew up on TikTok as well. She does a great job as a Silver Surfer. And I really hope we get to see more of her, as we'll talk in the end. But then we find out that Galactus is like, "Hey, your baby would feed me, and I wouldn't have to feed on planets anymore, and I can go hibernate because I'm hungry all the fucking time." And Sue says no, and it's a really good moral thing where it's like, are we like, would you give up? Because like obviously they come back to Earth, and the first thing everyone's like is like, why didn't you give your son up? Like, you're gonna let us die. And we'll get to that in a second. But this whole space scene sequence in the middle is, in my opinion, peak Marvel. Like this whole, it felt Interstellar vibes. Like they basically go visit Galactus and then they escape, and they have to like go around a black hole to like rebound back to Earth, and then Silver Surfer gets sucked in, and just the cinematography and the music in this shot, in this whole sequence is so good. I mean, this is like some peak Marvel sci-fi shit, and it's great. Sue's giving birth, and her powers are going haywire, and she has to hide them while she's giving birth. That was so great. And then they come back to Earth, and as you know, in this universe, there's no other superheroes. It's just the Fantastic Four, and so everyone's like, "Oh, are you gonna, like, you gave the kid up, right?" And they're like, yeah, no, we didn't give the kid up. And everyone's like, what the fuck? And it's just really a great concept, because I'm not a father. A lot of my friends aren't parents, but I'm sure, but I even understand, and I know parents would feel the same way, that, like, giving, yes, like, obviously saving the world is number one, but, like, it's just so hard to give up your kid, especially this cosmic being. Also, a really good Easter egg in the beginning that's, like, it's like 2 seconds long, is when Sue's talking to the United Nations basically, and it's peering over like China, all these places, and then it says Latveria and the seat's empty. I thought that was really cool, and not a lot of people caught that, shockingly, but it's gonna lead into when I talk about something later in the movie that I want to talk about. But yeah, Galactus, anytime he's on screen, he's just menacing. His voice is great. I think he looks plucked out of the comics, and that goes for any character in this film, plucked straight out of the comic books. I mean, style wise or attitude wise or environment wise, just great. I watched this film in IMAX, and this is my first Marvel film I have watched in IMAX, and I'm not disappointed. Whenever he talked, the whole theater shook. It was insane. So then basically the whole point of the finale is basically Galactus coming, and they're trying to trap him and like send him, millions of trillions of miles away, and Sue ends up really fucking using all her powers to push him back. And the Silver Surfer, I'm kind of like really skipping a lot of stuff, but the Silver Surfer comes and saves the day, as we know. Because if you're watching this, you've already seen the movie already. And I like that. I mean, I kind of knew. I mean, the two things I want to say about this movie that I can see why people don't like it, and maybe even I don't like it, is one, it's kind of predictable. It really is predictable. I mean, but then again, like, these characters. Like, I could predict that Shaw Ball, I think her name is, the Silver Surfer, would turn to help them defeat Galactus. And then also, so Sue dies at the end of the film, and then Franklin revives her. I thought that was going to happen as well, but I still think that that's cool, so I don't really care, because like the normal people who really aren't in the comics and stuff don't even know who Franklin is. So seeing Franklin revive his mom was crazy. And then he claps like after he does it. I thought that was pretty cute. I really love that, and I'm really excited to see where Franklin goes from here. But let's talk about the big stuff, guys, which is the end credits scene. Now, if you didn't get this leaked, I'm so happy for you. I didn't get it leaked. I was really careful. It is Doom. Now, this was crazy. I didn't know if we would see Doom. I don't really know where they stand. And obviously, a lot of people... Also, let's sidetrack a bit. Let's go back. The one other thing that a lot of my friends didn't like, and I kind of agree, but like I can see both sides, is that my friends were saying how they should have lost at the end and escaped to our multiverse. That's what everyone thought was going to happen, was Galactus was going to win. But that didn't happen. And I could see why they think that. And I think that would be cool as well. Like, them fighting him and Reed just saying it's not worth it, we have to leave. Because as we know, at the end of Thunderbolts, we do see a Fantastic Four ship come out. But then again, the end credits scene sets up, in my opinion, that Doom is like from this Earth. I'm still, for years, I've really kind of thought about my theory, and a lot of people share this sentiment as well, that Doom, RDJ's Doom, is the Doom from this Earth. I really do think it, because them showing the Latveria in the beginning as well sets up that Doom does exist in this universe. I don't think they would show Latveria with no chair, like with no one in the chair there, just as like a tease. I do think that means that there is a Doom in this universe, and I think it is RDJ, because there's no like ship or there's no big sound or anything when he appears. So I don't think he's like traveling through the multiverse. I think he just came, appeared in this realm. And so this leads to a theory that I think is going to be correct. When we saw the end of the Thunderbolts, people were like, that's the Fantastic Four. And then as the days went on, people were like, wait a minute, what if they're tricking us? What if that's actually not the Fantastic Four? What if that's Doom? And I think this end credit scene kind of sets that up. Now, the end credit scene is basically Sue is reading to Franklin. It's 4 years later, and she basically goes to get a book. She hears something. She comes back, and we see Doom, his mask in his hand. We do not see RDJ's face, which I wish we did. I think that would have been really fucking cool, but that would have been probably hella money. We see the mask in his hand, and he's basically like touching Franklin's shoulder. So now that proves that now that proves that he does want Franklin, and that was a theory for a while. And I think this backs up the theory that, two theories. One, he is from this universe, and he's going to hop ship. And two, I think he's going to steal a Fantastic Four ship, because Reed probably figured out how to get, through the multiverse, and that's him at the end of the Thunderbolts end credit scene. It was confirmed that the Russo brothers did this, just like they did direct the end credit scene of Thunderbolts. So these scenes are probably scenes from Doomsday, if I had to guess. If you remember when Ant-Man came out right before Civil War, and there was that scene of Cap and Falcon going to see Bucky, and that was literally just a scene from the movie. I think it's like that. But I'm really excited. I'm so glad we got to see Doom. It would have been great to see his face, but just seeing like a tease of his outfit, knowing we are a year and a half out, you have to remember, like, Doomsday comes out next December. This is going to be a long wait, guys. The next Marvel movie's not till Spider-Man next year. But this movie perfectly sets up where we're going. Same with Thunderbolts, and ironically, as most people haven't even seen it, the Marvels too really did set this up, because she is in the X-Men universe. And as we know, it's been teased by Feige and set picks that Doomsday is really going to be the X-Men fighting the Avengers to save their respective world from Doom, and making the world and all that. But guys, this movie is just great. This is peak Marvel in my opinion. There are some things like I do think Galactus winning would have been cool. Same with like the Ant-Man 3, what happened with that. But I think most stuff is firing on all cylinders. The art department, the actors are really great in this film, especially Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm. She is the heart and soul of this film. The music is all cylinders. The VFX is really great. I mean, there's probably a few shots where I was like, oh, that's iffy, but the main things like like you know when Infinity War came out, they're like, make sure Thanos looks good. Like Galactus looked great in every shot, and all their powers look great. And I'm really excited to see these four again, five with Franklin. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down below. Did you like the Fantastic Four? Was it fantastic? Was it not? Did you like Superman more than this? That is my thing. I do think I like Superman a little more than Fantastic Four. I really do. Now, I've stewed on Superman a while, but then again, now I'm going to stew on Fantastic Four. As always, guys, it's been Joey. Talk to me in the comments. I'd love to talk about it. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.